I don't think anybody respects the game and loves the game more than Kevin Durant. I think you can definitely say, even as an argument, in the history of the sport. And with Kevin Durant, it's hard not to bring it up. Now, I wouldn't say anything that we heard from Kevin Durant when he talked to Malika Andrews was groundbreaking, but since we are the PHNX Suns podcast, I figured it'd be good to pass this along.
How does the second half of the season shape your outlook for even beyond this year? Moving mid-season is one thing. Moving in the summer is maybe something else.
You got to ask front office about that. I mean, I never planned on leaving or moving Phoenix, getting traded. I didn't ask for a trade from Phoenix. But obviously, when you pay so much for a team and we're not playing up to our expectation, and somebody has to go, So, you probably should check in with those guys in the front office throughout the rest of the season and see how they feel about the team. I know that I'm going to keep trying to bring my best every single day, and I let the higher-ups focus on what's next.
He's been very consistent on this since we first spoke with him last week before he reached 30K. And I asked him whether it bothered him that there's this misconception about like him being unhappy in Phoenix when really he was not the one that was trying to trade himself. It was the front office. And he said, you got to ask the guys upstairs. You got to ask the front office guys how they feel, because a lot of people focus on me and how I'm feeling about it. But at the end of the day, I didn't ask to be traded. This was not on me. So it's good to see him still reiterating that. I genuinely could not tell you whether or not Kevin Durant will still want to be here by the end of the season because the front office tried to trade him, because the team is not where they want to be. But I do know that up until this point, he has wanted to be in Phoenix. He's been very dedicated to wanting to retire a Sun, being happy in Phoenix, to helping this Suns team try and figure things out. And it's not just, lip service with him. He's been their best player all season long. So it's not like he hasn't been bringing the effort or the energy or, the talent to the table. So I hope that they're able to figure this situation out. But for his part, it's not about, am I happy here? It's about, do they still want me here?
I think that's his approach has been apt, in my opinion, as far as that goes. When people have asked them questions along the lines of that, like, man, it was never me.
Right.
Like, I'm the car that got hit. I'm not the person that, made the situation happen. You should ask them, and then you can come back to me with that, and I can tell you whether that's true or not. But to just ask me flat out, it makes no sense, because I've been very firm with my stance, and I've stated time after time after time and shown it through my actions that this is where I want to be.
Yeah, I'll never have any worry about Kevin Durant when it comes to him being on the basketball court. That's just never been him. He's been through similar things before. When he was in Brooklyn, he was hooping the entire time. Obviously, injuries came in at the end when the trade rumors really picked up, but he was still hooping nonetheless his entire time in OKC. Like, it's just what he does. And Black Mason with the $2 super chat says, can't wait to see Durant on Court of Gold tonight. You got a little peek into his mind. We just basically, started breaking down crying because about this game saved him. And I don't think anybody respects the game and loves the game more than Kevin Durant. I think you can definitely say, even as an argument, in the history of the sport, right? Because not only is he a top 10 player, but you don't see a lot of players talk about the game like he talks about the game. So I really appreciate that part of him. At the same time, I'm already I've already accepted, and maybe this is just a coping mechanism for me. I've already accepted that he's gone. And that's not reporting. That's not me encouraging. That's not me wanting it. It's more the fact that in the NBA, when things like this come up and get into circulation, usually you get to that finish line one way or another. Jimmy Butler wants to get moved. Jimmy Butler's getting shopped. Jimmy Butler gets moved. Kevin Durant might get traded from Brooklyn. Kevin Durant wants to go to Phoenix. Kevin Durant ends up in Phoenix. Anthony Davis's time in New Orleans, keep an eye on it. It might end. Ends up in LA, right? Like, usually there are breadcrumbs to this thing. And you saw the initial breadcrumbs come out over the trade deadline, where Kevin Durant, said he didn't want to get traded. He also clarified in that interview with Malika Andrews that the reason why he said no to a Golden State trade was not because of what Steve Kerr said, which is his history with the organization, but merely because he did not want to get traded midseason. So maybe that's something that we can open up as a scenario going back to Golden State or whatever this offseason.